Hi everyone, welcome to the very first session on the Google Assistant Study Jam in English. I'm your host today, Sachin Kumar. I'm a Google Developer Expert. I'm also the Chief Technology Officer at Qwiklabs, which is a connected healthcare company based out of Dallas, Texas. And I also head the Google Developer Groups in Doha. So for today's session, it's going to be a 3-hour session. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the whole session. And you can also follow along when we start the live hands-on code labs for this specific session today. So the topic for today is the Google Assistant, and we will also see how you can build your own actions for the Google Assistant. So the aim for the whole stream or the whole session today is to make sure by the end of this whole program that you would actually build your own actions for the Google Assistant, and you can in fact go ahead and try these out directly from your phone or the Google Homes that you have. So before we actually start discussing about the Google Assistant, I would want to quickly touch upon the whole Google Developers family as such. So the Google Developer family consists of multiple developer communities and programs. So the first one is the GDG, or the Google Developer Group. So these are developer communities across the world who actually come together, build applications, learn from each other, and this whole live session programs are all part of these as well. And then you have the developer student clubs, where you have students from university taking the leads and having their chapter represent the whole Google Developer Technologies, the Google Technologies, as well as open source technologies. And then you have the experts program. As I said, I'm a Google Developer Expert for the Google Assistant. So as part of the expert program, you have a wide array of opportunities and network connections that Google offers. And the Launchpad programs is where, as part of startups, you get access to a whole wide array of mentors from across the world and other benefits that comes along with it. And finally, for the women in tech, we have the Women Tech Makers as well, so which is a community solely for women interested in technology. And just wanted to quickly go through some of the benefits as community organizers that you get as part of the GDG. So you get a professional growth, access to community management training, and technical knowledge to help you become stronger leader. So you get invitations from Google for selected events. You have access to a global network of 4,000 plus community organizers, and then dedicated support, infrastructure, and Meetup.com Pro Group subscription accounts. So if you're not aware, so you can actually go ahead and find the GDG near you. So this is the link for that. And if you're interested in starting your own chapter or as a community organizer, go ahead and access that link and see if you can build and develop a community or a chapter. So again, as part of the experts program, you have a wide array of benefits and support from Google. So access to technical resources, Google Teams, and making it easier for them to speak at conferences as a recognized product expert. From a network growth, this is the best part because you have a global network of professionals, cross-promotion of the content, so you share the contents with each other, and then finally, you have increased visibility through a public directory. And to end with, the last benefit is technical growth. So you have direct access to Google, to projects, product roadmaps, and NDA content. So you kind of closely work with the product teams. So that's another benefit that you get. And to learn more about GDEs, please visit developers.google.com/experts. And the Launchpad. As I said, Launchpad is like an acceleration program done by Google. So you have access to a wide array of mentorship from different industries all across the world. So we don't take from an equity free. So there's no take on equity stake in portfolio companies, focusing instead on ecosystem development and Google's holistic value for startups. And again, finally, it's all about network. On joining the Launchpad program, you become a part of the network of global founders. And to learn more about Launchpad, visit the link. And Developer Student Clubs is again a new program, a community that was started very recently. So if you are a university lead who wants to take up the whole opportunity to run your own community or student clubs in your universities, this is the right chance. So make sure you go ahead and see some of the benefits. So again, you have professional growth, network growth, and community learning. And go to developers.google.com/community.gsc to apply, to learn more about it and apply. And for the women in tech, Google takes this very seriously. So we have womentechmakers.com. So make sure you visit the site, apply for it. And as part of all this, it's not like each community is different. There are instances where the communities work and collaborate and join together to make sure that the best is provided to within the country, city, and region. So with that, I would like to start my session today. So as I said, we will learn how to build your own actions. So before we start with Google Assistant and how we actually start building for the Google Assistant, I would actually like to take you through some of the basic fundamentals or concepts. So as part of that, let's understand what a chatbot is. So I'm sure that let's make sure that my mic is working well. I hope that everyone is actually hearing me properly. Yeah. So with that, let's understand what a chatbot is. So a chatbot is nothing but an AI software that can simulate a conversation with the user in a natural language through messaging applications, websites, mobile apps, or through telephone. And what is the importance of chatbots? So I'm pretty sure that most of you guys out there would have interacted with a chatbot, either through, let's say, a real estate website or a travel site, or even booking your flights, looking for help. So the ones that you actually see at the bottom part of websites right now, where you actually feel there's a human sitting behind and actually interacting with you, it's actually a chatbot. So from an industry outlook standpoint, these are some of the information that I was able to gather. So the global chatbot market is expected to grow exponentially between 2018 and 2023. 85% of customer interactions will be managed without a human by 2020. That's by Gartner. 44% of executives believe artificial intelligence's most important benefit is automated communications that provide data that can be used to make decisions. So with that very basic understanding of what a chatbot is, let's move to voice assistants. And speaking of voice assistants, one of the first thing that comes to our mind is the Google Assistant, right? So Google Assistant is your own personal assistant from Google to get things done for you and to get things done in the best possible and helpful manner. So as a developer, you would actually wonder, and you also need to understand why build for the Google Assistant, right? So I will come to that point. And before that, as you know, Google has been heavily investing in the future of AI. and they have been investing it in three major areas. So we are talking about machine learning, speech recognition, and language understanding. So these three areas that they have heavily invested in come together in the Google Assistant. So all these years of research and work in these three areas have actually come together in the Google Assistant. Now, it allows you to have a conversation with Google that helps you get things done and in the best possible manner. And as part of being a developer or building for the Google Assistant, one of the main reasons you do that is exactly the one that we are seeing right now. You have access to 1 billion plus devices. And as part of that 1 billion plus devices, we are not just talking about phones, we're talking about Android phones, iPhones, TVs, cars, we're talking about smartwatches, headphones, Chromebooks, smart speakers, smart displays. So you have a wide array of devices that the Google Assistant is integrated in. And as a developer, that's exciting because you have access to 1 billion plus devices, right? So from a whole ecosystem standpoint, there are three major things, right? So there's the Google Assistant, which we know, which is basically a conversation between you and Google to get things done for you. And from an actions on Google, there's nothing but this is how you actually extend the assistant. So as a developer, this is the platform where you actually extend the assistant's functionalities. And finally, you have devices with Google Assistant built in. So with all of these three major components, as a developer, it's actually exciting because you have access to 1 billion plus devices. You don't actually have to have a specific, let's say, Play Store as such to go and make sure that your user installs the application. I'll come to that specific point. That's one of the best features of the Google Assistant, because once your action is approved out there, all what the user would have to do is just say, hey, Google, talk to my specific application name, and that would actually make sure that the whole and whole your action is actually delivered to the user from there on. So there's no installations being done. You don't have to worry about the platforms. It's there for both iPhones, Android phones, and as well as all the other array of devices that's out there. So speaking of devices, it's just not about devices. Now let's get into languages. So this is another exciting part. When you build for the Google Assistant, you can deliver experiences, conversational experiences, not just in English. You also have a wide array of languages. And as part of this, I'm pretty sure that for people in the MENA region, we have the Google Assistant right now available in 17 plus countries in the region. So that's good news, and that too in Arabic. So we talked about chatbots. We understood what are the importance of a chatbot. We talked about voice assistant, what Google Assistant is, and finally, let's see how we can build for the Google Assistant. So it's actually very simple, to be quite honest. So the first thing is actions on Google, and the second building block is Dialogflow. So actions on Google is the platform where you extend for the Google Assistant. So if you're looking to build for the Google Assistant, you have to come to actions on Google. So that's the platform where you develop a platform where you actually build for the Google Assistant. And then you have Dialogflow. So Dialogflow is a platform that makes it incredibly straightforward to build conversational experiences. So these are the two different platforms that you can actually start building your own voice applications or voice actions in this case. So it's pretty easy. So speaking of Dialogflow, let's actually go ahead and see an example of one of the actions. So if you actually listen to that conversation, so he said, talk to personal chef. And then you actually had a conversation happening between the Google Home and the user. So when he said, I would like to have, well, it's kind of cold outside, so I'd like to have something warm, something to warm me up, like a hot soup, and I want it fast. So if you actually take this whole example as such, you have cold, you have warm, you have hot, and you soup and fast. You have all of this information in one sentence. Now imagine as a developer, if we have to write a regular expression for this, it's pretty complex, right? So as part of this whole process, what I would say is, in order for us to understand the context that this person is talking about cold, is from the weather standpoint, right? Something to warm him up, and he needs a hot soup, and he wants it fast. So luckily, we have a tool, which is Dialogflow, to help us better understand these kind of conversations. So it actually makes it incredibly straightforward to build these kind of conversational experiences. And within Dialogflow, one of the major two components is intent matching and entity extraction. So intent matching is nothing but, let's say, it matches and categorizes users' utterances to an intent. A simple example is, let's say, if I create an intent called phone support, right? And then I say, my phone keeps rebooting all the time. I would like to, I would like to get it fixed. So this is a conversation that we have, right? So out of many conversations, when the user says, my phone keeps rebooting all the time, and I need it to be fixed. So within Dialogflow, you can actually create an intent, say, as I said, for phone support. You can enter similar conversations like how I've just mentioned and save it. So once that is done, the moment the user actually gives a similar conversation, Dialogflow understands that this person is talking about the phone support intent. Right? And entity extraction. Entity extraction is nothing but identifying keywords and phrases spoken by the user. So simple, the same example. Let's take the same example. We had phone rebooting all the time, and I needed to get it fixed immediately. So you have phone as one entity. You have fix as another entity if you want. And finally, you said immediately or now. So that also specifies the date time, so that can be another entity. So with so this is an example of what a recipe recommendation would look like. So as I said, an intent over here is a recipe recommendation, and within this intent, instead of actually programming, you would actually feed in conversations. And within these conversations, as you can see, you're just feeding in information that the user would actually speak to your chatbot or voice assistant in this case. So chicken sounds good to me. I like cold dessert and I want it right now. So these highlighted elements are the entities. And as long as the conversation is similar to what is being trained here, Dialogflow will understand that, okay, so this person is giving me a specific statement, a conversation. It will then use its machine learning to check, okay, which intent is this? Okay, this is the intent. Let me extract the key information like chicken, cold dessert right now, and then process it. So these are entities. So for any chatbot or voice assistant, you would need to have a backend to connect and transfer information to and from your business logic, right? So that's where we have something called as fulfillment. So fulfillment is nothing but a piece of code which is deployed as a webhook and lets your Dialogflow agent call the business logic on a per intent basis, right? So during a conversation, this allows you to use the information extracted from Dialogflow's natural language processing to generate a dynamic response or trigger an action on your backend. It's simple as this, right? So as I said, our previous example, when we say phone is rebooting and it's broken and I need it to get fixed immediately, it knows, okay, this is the intent, phone support is the intent, and let me pass on the entities and the intent to my backend, where I would see, okay, this is the user, this is the account, these are the information that I've extracted. He's mentioned phone, it's not any other product, he's talking about phone, and then he's talking about the issue, which is rebooting, and finally he's also telling me when to come. So if he says I need it to get it fixed immediately or tomorrow, then based on that, you can actually send someone from your business standpoint to get it fixed immediately. So I hope fulfillment is very clear right now. And from an entity extraction standpoint, this is what I was saying. So within these conversations, you can even understand if you're mentioning like the city or country, time, date. Dialogflow has system entities which will automatically extract this information and then pass it on to your backend. So let's actually go through one entire flow, right? So the user says, my phone keeps rebooting and is broken, and can I get it fixed tomorrow? It goes to the Google Assistant. The Google Assistant then identifies that, okay, provided this is the action that we are talking to, let me actually pass this to Dialogflow. So the Google Assistant is the one which actually converts the spoken phrases or utterances into text format and then passes that information to Dialogflow. So my phone is broken, can I get it fixed tomorrow? Dialogflow understands that the intent is phone support, and within that intent, let me extract the information. So phone and tomorrow are one of the intents that I need to extract. You can even go ahead and see fixed or needs fixing or is broken can be another issue. You can tag it as an entity and then send it to your backend. From there, you would actually call your webhook. So that's the piece of code that lies in between where you actually do your backend logic. Finally, based on this information, you can actually send a response back to your user saying that, sure, an agent will reach out to you soon to fix your mountain bike. Finally, the response is then sent back to the user. So that's a complete walkthrough of what actually happens behind the scenes. Now, with Dialogflow, you're not just talking about, so Dialogflow is a platform where you actually build conversational experiences. And as part of that, one of the major integrations options that you have is for the Google Assistant. And the beauty of Dialogflow is that you can actually build the same conversation for the Google Assistant and as well as for chatbots on other platforms, supported platforms. And these are some of the very few that I can actually put out on the slide. So integrations, as I said, once you're done building for the dialogue within the Dialogflow, your agent can be used as a chatbot or as a voice assistant. So this is an example over here where you can actually see me talk to my test application. I say I would like to report an issue. It says, sure, I can help you with that. Please provide your name and ticket. I provide my name. Then it says, thanks, Sachin, what's your phone number? I give my phone number. And then finally it says, okay, what's the issue right now? I say, my phone keeps rebooting all the time. I would like someone to call me as soon as possible. And then you can see that the assistant automatically creates a ticket number and says that someone will reach out to you as soon as possible. So this is a classic example of, where you can actually use Dialogflow and the Google Assistant and build conversational applications quickly. So the whole example that you're seeing over here is available in the form of a tutorial. So please check the live comments or chat section. I believe you would find the link over there to my Medium blog post, as well as my website has the same tutorial as well. You can check that out. So this is another example that I would like to show. So this is not even the Google Assistant. So this is another chatbot, which is then integrated into Skype. So I just wanted to give you these kind of demos to basically take you through the functionalities as well as the possibilities that you have, because you don't have to go to each platform to build your chatbot or voice assistant. You're actually using one platform and then extending the whole application or your conversational design to multiple platforms, right? So here's an example where I say, hi, it says, greetings. I say, how are you? Feeling wonderful. I need some help. And then it says, okay, I can help you with a lot of things. I can help you upload your blood pressure, weight, and blood glucose. I can help you get your last rating. Most importantly, I can generate your heart score and give you valuable feedbacks to maintain a healthy living. So this is another thing to note, because as much as possible, while designing conversations, you need to make sure that your conversations lead the user to a specific action. So if you just keep it like an open-ended thing, your user can interact with the application in many different ways. And finally, you might not be able to help the user, or you'll just say, look, I'm actually I cannot understand what you're saying. But in this case, the moment you say, what are the capabilities of your like as a chatbot, these are my capabilities, then the user knows, okay, what's the next question that I need to ask. So here's an example where I say, what was my last reading? It gave me, what's my heart score? It gave me as well. So when I say cool, it says, I know, right? So it has a bit of a character as well. So you can actually have small talk with your chatbots in this case. So I would like to upload my blood pressure. It says, when did you take this reading? Yesterday. I say, what time was this reading? I gave it like 3:30 p.m. What was your systolic number? Gave the number. What was your diastolic number? And finally, sure, I can make an entry for blood pressure, 124/75, taken on that specific date. Please confirm. So I say confirm, and just like that, your chatbot would have saved that information to your backend, right? So that's one of the demos that I wanted to show. So we saw a chatbot built for the Google Assistant with a similar chatbot built for MIMO. This is a MIMO chatbot, which is actually there on Skype. So you can see that all of this is actually built in Dialogflow. So yeah, as a developer, you don't have to worry about multiple platforms. And just like the Google Assistant, you have wide array of language support as well. So within Dialogflow, you can design your conversations in English, then within the settings, add another language, create a whole set of intents again for that specific language, and then you can build it. So let's talk about how to make it more engaging and fun. That's by leveraging how to use SSML and sound library. So this is actually a pretty cool thing. And as a developer looking to build voice actions, this is one of the most important tool that I would say to make your interactions more engaging and meaningful as well. So SSML is nothing but a speech synthesis markup language. So while we actually, just like HTML, we have tags. So we have a speak tag. Within that, we have, for example, say as, interpret as characters. So this would be read out as SSML because we are making sure that interpret as is given as characters. Break time 3 seconds. So this will pause for 3 seconds after saying SSML. Then you have a file. So you can actually have music or any kind of audio background sound that you need to play. And then a whole lot of other options that says, so do check out developers.google.com/actions references. So here's another example.
Come in. Welcome to the terrifying world of the imagination.
So this was a wonderful example, and the reason why I wanted to show you this demo is just have a look at this. Before you actually start an experience, if you just said, this is the only text that would be read out, right? Come in, welcome to the terrifying world of the imagination. So if that was just the only thing spoken back to the user would be like, fine, I mean, I understand, but you wouldn't really have that whole experience as such. But using SSML, you had a thunder sound, and immediately after that overlaying, you had like a alien growl, monster alien growl, and then you had somebody walk on the wood, then the door closes, then comes the whole voice, the spoken utterance, and then finally again the alien grunting and sleeping. So with this whole 22 seconds, you exactly know what you're getting into, right? So you exactly know, okay, this is the kind of a spooky experience that this voice action is actually going through. So it's much more fun. So speaking of SSML, and we also spoke about some of the nuances of how important it is to actually design your conversations towards a specific action. I would highly encourage everyone who's actually getting to build for the Google Assistant or any kind of voice actions, make sure you visit this specific site. Google has a wide array of checklists, so you can go through these checklists, make sure that once you build your action, go through all of these, make sure that you've done all of this, followed all of these guidelines, and it is key for you as a developer to make sure that your conversations lead your users towards a specific action. A simple example would be if I said, if a user talks to your action, let's say talk to my test application, and your response for that would be, hi. As a user, I'm not sure what exactly that you're talking about, what this action can do. And So I'm actually left out in the open to kind of explore. But in the same, instead of that, if your conversation was when the user says, talk to my test application, and your response was basically, hi, welcome to so-and-so action. I'm here to help you with so-and-so XYZ kind of a setting. So make sure that, you can ask me anything in regards to that. So you're kind of leading your user with few information. So the moment the user hears that, this next conversation would be around it as much as possible. So all of that is beautifully described and documented in this link. So do visit that. So it's demo time. So let's see all of this in action. So we actually saw, so for the next demo, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to talk to the Google Assistant. The Google Assistant will understand that I'm talking to a specific test application. So based on that, it knows that, okay, I need to handle this and send this information to the Dialogflow account. And from Dialogflow, my agent will extract the entities and intents, send it to my webhook, which is in GCP, Google Cloud. The Google Cloud would then process cloud functions or through Firebase. I then call a machine learning API to basically understand the mood or the sentiment of my user. And finally, I actually have a call to action over here where I do an automated call, and the response is then sent back to the user. So this is a classic example where you're not kind of limited to just these two platforms. You can actually start integrating a whole wide array of different APIs, different services, and kind of build meaningful products around it. So for this demo, let's have a look at this. So this is just a dashboard. So for this specific dashboard, the one that I would actually recommend to keep an eye on is these two. So you have a sentiment score and sentiment magnitude. So again, this is using Google Cloud's machine learning API behind the scenes. It's calling the natural language API, which is the sentiment analysis. And based on the conversation that is being passed to that, it will automatically identify or provide me the score. So if the score is 0, that means it's neutral. If it is close to 1, then it's a positive thing. If it goes below 0 to -1, it's on a negative sentiment. Okay. So hopefully, since this is on a positive note, I'm gonna make sure that we try something negative just so that we know that our application is working. Hey Google, talk to my test tab. So I'll just make sure my phone is on speaker. Increase the volume. Talk to my test tab.
Let's get the test version of my test app. Good afternoon, Sachin. Let's see how you are doing today. On a scale of 0 to 10, what is your pain score right now?
7.
How did you sleep last night?
I didn't sleep at all.
Describe any side effects you are experiencing from your medications.
Well, I think I'm having nausea, headache, and fever.
Okay. How has your mood been over the last 2 weeks?
Oh, it's been really, really bad.
It sounds like you should talk to a trained mental health professional. Here Here is the nearest one, Providence St. Vincent Med Center, and you can reach them at +1503.
So as you can see, the score changed to minus 0.8. I'm getting a call right now, which is automated. Picking the call. So I got a call, which basically said patient Sachin is in need of a follow-up call. He submitted his pain score. So with just this one demo, you can see that the Google Assistant is passing it to my Dialogflow. My Dialogflow understands and extracts the key information and the intent, passes that to my webhook of fulfillment, and within my fulfillment, I basically extract that information. I then send it to another API, which is a machine learning API called sentiment analysis. The sentiment analysis gives me a sentiment score and a magnitude. So now that I know that this patient is not happy, so I need to follow up. So based on that sentiment score, I can write another logic where I use something, another API where I can make an automated call and get that information across to the right person, right? So that's very important. So this is one of the demos that I wanted to show. And as part of the next demo, so this is exactly how I've done it. So I have Dialogflow, machine learning APIs integrated with Twilio to make the automated call. I also get an SMS based on that. And you can actually expand this to other different cloud services. So I'm not going to go deep about what sentiment analysis and entity analysis, but just about, I'm sure you would have understood what exactly it is. So it attempts to determine the overall attitude, positive or negative, and it's represented by a numerical score and magnitude. So the more your conversation is, your magnitude value will increase. But your sentiment score would be between -1 to +1. -1 being very negative, +1 being very positive, and 0 being in the neutral. So entity analysis is again where you would like it will automatically extract key information like people, places, events, etc. So the next demo that I would like to show is the Google Home. So this demo is for people or tech enthusiasts who is actually into, I would say, IoT, and not necessarily, but you would actually go ahead and you can build your own device with the Google Assistant built in. So let me actually load that. So this was actually a device that I built, I think, a couple of years back. So I call this the Google Homebook. So what it does is, you can actually,
The time is 1:34 p.m. Mount Everest, 8,848 meters tall. This might make you laugh. What did the teacher do with their students' report on the history of cheese? She graded it.
sing a song. So as you can see from the demo, you have the whole Google Assistant experience in just a book. So this was kind of another project that I did. So within the book, all you have is like a Raspberry Pi. And the way how I did this is you have a Raspberry Pi device, you use the Google Assistant SDK. The only thing that's visible outside is this specific mic, and this was all connected inside. So from the outside, you're just holding a book, and to power the whole thing, and just like the other devices out there, the problem with my Google Home or the Google Google Mini that I have is it needs to be connected to a power source all the time. I wanted something portable, so I went ahead and built this where the entire thing was powered by uh, power, a really small power bank. So it's portable. You had a small speaker inside connected to a Raspberry Pi. You integrated the Google Assistant SDK. So if you're interested in building these kind of things, do check out my blog or the website. You would have a detailed step-by-step instructions on how to do this. And finally, for people who are into home automation, I would like to show one last demo before we actually start study jam. So here's an example and where I would actually take you through this. Hey Google, it's TV time. So the moment I say it's TV time, it actually turns on my projector. It dims all the lights in my living room. It turns on my home theater. And then as you can see, it switches to the right source. Okay, it would, since I have like an Xbox, the Chromecast, and one of the setup boxes connected, so it will switch to the right source based on my command, and then start playing. So you can actually command control your entire home automation using the Google Assistant, right? So the next demo over here is you can see that when I say it's cleaning time. Hey Google, cleaning time. So here, when I say it's cleaning time, at this point, this was a few years back, this was not even Wi-Fi enabled, so I kind of linked multiple services together with the assistant. And you actually send IR commands directly to the bot, and then the bot cleans and then sends it back. So right now, the entire house is automated, from lights to curtains to door locks with the smart displays. So yeah, so the entire house is loaded. So this is my daily life, and it's been for the past 2 years or more. And I have not used a remote in my house for probably a long time. So everything is voice activated and controlled. Everything is voice controlled at this point. So these are some of the practical examples of the Google Assistant. And if you have your own device that you're building, you want to integrate your Google Assistant, you can do so. So do check out the documentation and the processes that's involved. It's easy to integrate the assistant, but if you're going to launch it as a live product, you need to go through a specific process and certification. And if you're interested in building your own smart speaker, so make sure you go and visit the site, my blog, and you'll have all of those resources on how to do that. And I'm available on Twitter, Medium, and that's my website. And finally, if you're looking for one slide with all of the information, so this is the one. So make sure that everything that we're talking about today, right from Dialogflow to actions, conversation design, custom experience, even interactive canvas is where you can actually have a voice experience with your actual web content being displayed on the smart display. So it's like a visual gaming experience. So this is one of the new features of the assistant. So make sure that actions on Google. So make sure that you go and try this out. It's pretty cool. And with that, let's get started with our study jam. So to begin for this, to begin the whole process, we'll be using Qwiklabs. And again, most of this information would be available to you via live comments as well. So do check out your chat, live chat. You would actually find information regarding the steps that's required for you to enroll in Qwiklabs. So Qwiklabs is a training tool that's provided by Google. So you actually have access to a lot of resources and training on cloud. And for today, what we'll be doing is we'll be accessing the Qwiklabs through a special link that's available for all the users who've joined in today for the live stream. And based on that, you can access that link, uh, sign in. So step one is make sure you go to this specific link, right? So I would actually encourage each and every one of you to use this on an incognito mode, because the reason why we want you to use this on an incognito mode situation is generally you're kind of signed in with your Google account in your browser, and for Qwiklabs will create its own temporary Google accounts or Gmail accounts within this tool. So you don't want to get confused between your personal account and the temporary account that's created by Qwiklabs. So you can basically right click, open in incognito mode. So for users who would like to, who already have an account in Qwiklabs, go ahead and click sign in. You can sign in with your Google account, right? And for users who have not yet created a Qwiklabs account, what I would encourage you to do is click on join, fill out the form, and then create the account. So once you create the account, you would actually have a welcome page, and then you would actually have access to the Qwiklabs. So you would basically come to this page, and finally you click on join to enroll in this quiz. So I'm gonna do this when I sign in with my Google account. I already have access to my, I've already created a Qwiklabs account. So if you, once you sign in, you would actually see enroll in this quest. So you can actually click on that and start these labs, right? So the reason why you don't see this right now in this session is because I've already logged in, I've already completed this quest. So make sure you follow the instructions that's there in the live chat for making sure that you get the right information and access to Qwiklabs. So a quick walkthrough with Qwiklabs. So this is called a quest. A quest consists of multiple labs. So for the Google Assistant quest, we have a quest on Dialogflow, introduction to APIs, the Google Assistant. So again, building an application with Dialogflow and cloud functions, YouTube entertainment app, and a restaurant locator with the Places API. Right. The other thing to note is once you enroll, once you sign in, using that special campaign code. So again, I repeat, what's important is if you go back here, this is your special access code. This one over here is your special access code. Only with this, you would have free credits to access the site. Again, I can quickly walk you through the steps that's involved. So if you already have a Qwiklabs account, click sign in, enter your username or password, then you're ready for the next steps. If you don't have a Qwiklabs account, click on join, fill in the entire details, create your account, confirm your account with the confirmation link from your email, and then you're good to go. So this is the whole journey. Follow the exact link that I showed you, sign in or register to the platform, enroll to the exact same quest link to the campaign. So by the time you use that link and register and enroll, you would come back to that same screen that I showed you. You'll be given 1 credit. So what is the credit? So if you go, if I show you over here, when you click on your profile, you would actually see 1 credit. So by having 1 credit in your screen, that's how you know that, okay, we're good to go. I can go ahead and start the lab. So you'll be given 1 credit at this moment to start the first lab. So make sure you start the first lab. You click on Start Lab, complete the first lab based on the campaign that was provided. Once you complete the first lab, click on End Lab. Now you will be given 1 free month access, and usually make sure that it takes around 5 minutes. So give it some time, and around after 5 minutes, you can see once you finish the first lab, you'll have access to the monthly subscription. So this is the process. Join to enroll in this quest. Click on Start Lab, and the moment you start each lab, you'll have a pop-up like this. So click on Use Subscription, and once you're done with the lab, click End Lab. And a quick note: the subscription, sorry, the lab as such, when you click on End Lab, it's not a pause button. Okay, so make sure you complete all the steps and then you hit the End Lab. And again, you need not worry about this because you can complete. You have access to this once you have the monthly subscription. You can repeat this lab how many ever times you need. So when you click on your profile, this is what you'll see. You'll see credits or you'll find monthly subscription. So the next thing which is important is, and why Qwiklabs is an amazing tool, is one, you actually have live training, hands-on training, right? So you have hands-on knowledge on how to build stuff. And on top of that, you actually gain or earn digital badges. And as part of those digital badges, you can actually go ahead and click on these. So click on My Learning, View Public Profile. And if you have not enabled public profile, make sure you click on Make Profile Public. And once that is done, you will actually have a similar screen. So let me actually show you mine. So if I go to My Learning and click on View Public Profile, you can see all the quests that I've completed, right? So this is like your public profile that you can share it with your employer. You can share this on LinkedIn, so you can directly add this to your LinkedIn profile. So it's pretty cool. And as you can see, I've done almost like 136 labs, 8 completed quests on different topics. So this is an opportunity for all of you guys to actually build and learn for the Google Assistant, earn the badge, give us a shout out in Twitter, and also based on that, you can also go ahead and learn the other technologies out there or Quest within the Qwiklabs. So if you have any trouble following or activating your subscription, reach out to support@qwiklabs.com and they'll be happy to help you. And just a note that this code is available only for the live stream. for this specific day. So make sure you access the link and get access to the monthly subscription as well. So two things from a Qwiklabs standpoint: the attendance certificate after filling feedback, and then you would also have free Coursera courses after finishing 3 quests. And as part of this whole thing, you have the MENA 30 days on assistant. We'll come back to this towards the end once we complete the labs. So for today's session, we'll try and complete at least 2 based on the time. So let's go ahead and click on the first one. So if you're lost, and make sure you access the link through the steps that I mentioned. But if you're lost, you can just search okay, Google. So this is the quest. Enter, you would actually find the quest. So click on that. If you have not clicked on enroll in this quest, make sure you enroll in it. And once that is done, let's go ahead and start the very first hands-on lab. So as part of this specific lab, quick walkthrough. So these are the set of instructions that you need to follow in building, working on this specific lab. And once you follow all these instructions towards the end, you would find a score as well. As and when you finish each of these steps, you'd find a score over here. So the moment you hit 100 out of 100, that's when you basically end the lab, right? So that's how you complete one lab. So the moment you click Start Lab, as you can see, it takes 30 minutes. A timer would start to go off, and you can pretty much cover most of these labs without actually reaching this. So 30 minutes is provided we actually take really long time or get stuck and stuff like that, but it should be pretty smooth to have this up and working. Okay, so let's start with the first one. So go ahead and click Start Lab. So I'll just give 2 minutes for people, just in case you want to follow along. Okay, so now that we've started the lab, probably I think the best thing to do right now, and just to avoid confusion, let me end this lab because I'm actually logged into my the normal browser. So I want you guys to actually learn to do these on the incognito mode. So let me quickly go to incognito mode, come back, get the special link. Right, so let's do this. Incognito, access the link. So this is your special campaign link. We've already signed in over here. Click this, and let's start the first lab. So the moment you start, the first thing you notice is this panel over here. So again, as I mentioned earlier, the reason why we are doing this on a private window or an incognito window is because Qwiklabs actually provides you with a temporary account. So we'll be actually using this to sign in. and actually do the entire lab, so that you don't accidentally use your Google account and go ahead and start creating projects under that. As part of the first step, what you will learn in this specific lab, we'll be able to differentiate between the basic components and services that make up an assistant application. We will create an actions project. We will integrate Dialogflow with an actions project. Build a Dialogflow intent that handles quotation responses. So just like how I mentioned, we build an intent with phone support. Here, we're going to build an intent with quotation responses. And then update Google permission settings. Again, you can actually try all of this out directly in your phone as well. But since we're using a temporary account, we are actually testing this on the simulator. But the same steps after these labs, when you're out there, within 10 and 15 minutes, you can build this on your own account and actually try it out in the simulator, make sure the permissions are enabled, and then you should be able to test this whole thing on your phone as well. Your phone or your Google Home device or smart home displays, anything, as long as it's Google Assistant and you're using the same Google account to build it, it should work for you. So let's go ahead. So as you can see, we've already kind of finished 2 to 3 minutes over here. Click on the first thing, which will open up the Google Cloud Platform account. So let's sign in here. So the moment you do this, this is the reason you shouldn't sign in with my account. Sorry for that. So click on this. Make sure you sign in using the account that was actually given to you. So click on add an account and use this one. Got so used to building on my own account that it went through with the same. So that was the classic example of why we shouldn't use the personal account. So once you enter the username and password, just click accept and hit confirm. Just agree to the terms of service and continue. So let me resize this to some extent. Make sure that's fine. And with that, as you can see, we just used this. We opened up, it will open up the Google Cloud Platform. Within the Cloud Platform, once you sign in using the same credentials, username, and password that's provided here, you can see that it would create a project. So this is your project ID. As you can see, this is the same ID that's shown on your drop-down on the top. So if you have multiple projects, you can quickly switch over that. So this is actually the Google Cloud Platform. Everything that you need to build, or APIs, or big data, machine learning, all the products and services, everything is over here. So you can actually have a one platform to kind of have access to numerous products and services. So the next step, once you have access to that, is now that we've created a cloud account, you can actually go and create an actions project. So open a new tab in your browser. So I would actually do this. So the next step is, as I said, what's the platform where you actually go ahead and built for the Google Assistant, a platform very specific for the Google Assistant, which is nothing but the actions on Google, right? So we just went there, click on new project and import the project. So click on this new project, agree to the terms and conditions. So this is where things start to get interesting, right? So Actions on Google is a separate platform. The moment you click here on this text box, you can actually see that you have your GCP project already linked. So make sure you click that. And the reason how all of this works is all of these platforms to some extent are interconnected, and it's linked to your GCP project ID. So go ahead and click Import Project. So soon after that, you'll be presented with the welcome page. Click on Actions Console on the top left corner. So you actually have this wide array of different options that you can use to build for the Google Assistant. But in this case, what we do is go to the top left corner and click on Actions Console. Right. So the moment you click on this is also to show you that if you have multiple projects that you have, you can actually click on this, and your list of projects will be over here. So right now we've just created one project, so that's showing up over here. So you can actually click on that, right? And the other thing to do is you can also go ahead and answer these just to test your knowledge. So virtual assistant that's found on smartphones, homes, and a host of other devices. Which is that? Google Assistant? Yes. A developer platform that allows you to build assistant applications. As I said, what is the developer platform that's used to build assistant applications? Actions. And a platform that abstracts the complexities of natural language understanding and machine learning to build conversational applications. So which one was that? So it's basically Dialogflow, right? So for the other questions, you can just go ahead and answer those while you're doing the lab. So let's go back to the next step. So the next step is let's go ahead and build our first action. So click on the project. Once you click on the project, click on build your action, and add your first action. So let's do that. So go to the actions console. So this is the actions console. And you can see you have tabs over here on the top, overview, develop, test, deploy, and analytics. Right now we are under overview. And within that, click on build your action and click add action. So this is the place where we will add our first action. So click on add your first action. By default, it will be under custom intent. It's fine. Go ahead and click on build. Now, this would actually pop up to choose the account, and I will show you why this is important. The moment you actually did that, when you click on add your first action, and then when you click on custom intent and then build, it will actually take you to Dialogflow. So this is the platform where we build our conversational experiences, right? So you can see it's asking to allow access to Dialogflow for people in English. So basically asking the permissions, hit allow, agree to the terms of service, and hit accept. So now we are in Dialogflow. Let's go ahead and sign in with the same account. Right? So if you've done all of these steps that's mentioned over here, so we did build your action, we clicked on add action, add your first action, custom intent and build. And once that is done, you can actually come here at this point and check your progress. So keep an eye on the score over here. It's still 0 out of 100. We've reached halfway through. Let's go ahead and check our progress and see if we've actually done things right. Still looks like we've missed out something, so let's give it some more time. And by default, you can see this is the same project ID that's given here, which is available here, which is linked to this actions console, and finally to your Dialogflow as well. So just go ahead and click create. So you can see that the moment you created, so what we just did is we created a Dialogflow project, and this is called our agent. So our agent actually carries all of our intents, entities, all the integrations, and so on. So we just created our agent, and now let's go back to Qwiklabs and check if our project is done. Yes, so we've created a Dialogflow agent successfully. So the reason why it didn't check before was we didn't complete creating an agent, right? So right now we've successfully created our agent. So this is a Dialogflow agent. If you're interested in settings, these are the settings that's available. And these are intents and entities. So it's an exciting tool. You'll get to know how easy it is very soon. So let's go ahead to the next steps. So build a custom Dialogflow intent, right? So we are going to go and create a new intent, and we're going to name it code generator. So just copy this. And as part of the labs, I would highly encourage all the users to make sure that you follow the exact steps that's provided in the labs, because that's one of the ways that the lab identifies that you have completed certain steps. And at the same time, once we did the previous check, you can see that the score has now come to 50 out of 100. So we're halfway through. So let's go ahead and complete the remaining. Go to Dialogflow, click on entities. So there's two ways. You can either click on this button over here, or you can just click on the plus button. Go ahead and add code generator. So code generator is the name of our intent, right? So we've just created our intent, but we still have a lot of things to do. Well, actually few steps, right? So we have training phrases and we have responses. So click on add training phrases and add the following user expressions. So this is actually easy. So let me actually take you through why this is important. So the whole idea over here is we're actually creating an intent, which is code generator. And under training phrases, this is where you actually add all the phrases that you feel that your user would basically interact with your agent or an action. So the whole idea over here is the more training phrases that you give, the more better your chatbot or the voice assistant or your action would look like. So, and at the same time, as a human, it's impossible to kind of identify all the possible combinations of what the user would say. So typically, I would say add as much as you can to have a better experience. But Dialogflow uses its AI and machine learning and the natural language understanding to process information. And identify that this is the right intent that I need, that is being triggered based on the conversation from the user. So click on add training phrase, add the first one, and just like that, just copy all the four. So these are our training phases. Now, once the user gives something on something similar to this specific phrase, we need to actually give back a response, right? So that's where you go ahead and click under the responses section. You click add response and add these responses. Go ahead and add those. And I'm pretty sure for people who are actually seeing this for the first time, it's actually as simple as this. If you would have come here thinking that, okay, this needs to have a lot of code, it's going to be really difficult, it's going to be, it's for, people with certain specific skills, not really. So the Dialogflow is a very intuitive and easy tool. So go ahead and click save. So what we've done so far, right? So we created an intent called code generator. Under training phases, we gave in some training sets. And under responses, we basically gave some responses as well. And for users, if you would want to delete any of these at any point, you can just have this icon over here. So when you save, you'll always notice that there's an intent saved, and then it will say that the training is, if you would have made any changes over here, it says training started and training ended. Since we've not made any other changes over here, let's go ahead and see the next steps. Now let's check our progress so far. So technically you can see that we've completed the steps, but let's actually go ahead and try and see how our application or voice action is ready. So let's go ahead and click on this tab. So go to the activity controls page. Make sure you're signed in using the same Qwiklabs account. Enable this. So you're actually giving permissions. So make sure you click on both of these checkboxes. Now that we've enabled the permissions, you can actually go ahead and close that. You can go ahead and answer these. And finally, let's go ahead and check what and how our action is using a simulator. So if you don't have a phone with the Google Assistant built in, you can actually go and test this on a simulator. So the way how you do that is go back to your actions console, right? Click on test. And a few things to note over here. By default, when you actually start building, if you want to trigger your assistant, you say the OK or Hey Google command, and then you say talk to my test app. So this would actually trigger. So this is the way how Google knows that okay, based on this account, he's created an agent. The moment I say talk to my test app, or if your application is actually live, or based on your um, action name, you can actually go ahead and trigger. So Google knows that, okay, based on this name, I need to hand this over to this specific agent. So within the Dialogflow agent, it will then understand what are the intents, what should be, which intent that it matched to, and then the specific responses for the same. So on the top, you'll also find different surfaces. So this is what a smart display would look like. This is on a phone, speaker, and kiosk. So you have access to all of these. So you can actually, without actually having these devices, you can simulate the experience. So you can see you still have time to complete the whole thing. So go ahead and actually try this out.
Here's the test version of my test app. Hi, how are you doing?
So let's say if I say give quote.
If music be the food of love, play on.
And let's say awesome. Another quote. Some inspiration.
Food of love, play on.
Yeah. So as you can see, right, depending on the different conversations that you have, it will automatically go back to a dialogue. So based on the conversations that's been trained, so some of the phrases that I added, you didn't even have that as a training phrase, but Dialogflow understands that this is the intent, right? It matches, and then based on that intent matching, what are the responses that's involved. So that's basically a simple chatbot over here, and along with the chatbot, right now this is actually the voice assistant. So you have your own voice assistant, your own action on the Google Assistant, right? So I hope with that each and everyone is excited on how to build your own actions. I'm super excited. If you guys actually build your own actions out there, do let us know. My Twitter link, Twitter tag is also mentioned in the chat section. So do let me know, and I'll be more than happy to see what you guys have done. So finally, now that we've completed all the steps, go ahead and click on End Lab. So this will automatically decommission this entire GCP project ID. So we can just give some comments, end the specific lab. Now that you have completed the lab, if you go back to your quest, you would actually find a green check over here. So by now, for people who have actually followed, you would have actually completed this specific section. Right? So for the next thing, this specific lab, as you can see, it's under maintenance. So this was also a very interesting project. So if you're interested in how to build actions for the Google Assistant without even coding, technically we didn't code over here, but let's say if you want a full experience, you can actually check out templates for the Google Assistant. And what templates provides is nothing but a Google Sheet. So you'll actually have access to a Google Sheet with pre-filled information like trivia questions. So you can actually change or edit that Google Sheet, add your own set of questions, and then save it. And that in turn would create your own action. And that action will be like a full-fledged action with music, sound effects, and your questions that you've asked for your trivia game and your responses. So the user would actually kind of have a full-fledged action and a conversation experiences back and forth. So that's one of the most quickest way for you to actually build for the Google Assistant. And we can actually come back to introduction to API. So this is like a general topic, which is important. But I would like to do the next lab, which is let's build an application with Dialogflow. So we'll be following a similar fashion, but we'll also be integrating with cloud functions. So remember the whole presentation where I kind of gave you different services, how my conversation was just not a static response. It asked me few questions, and based on those questions, it identified my mood or sentiment because I was extracting that information, sending it to a machine learning API, and then the API was then further processing it and giving me the result. So all of that was possible because we had a backend, and the way how you kind of connect to a backend is through fulfillment. So this lab will actually give you a hands-on on that. So click on that. And what we learn in this specific lab, again, as I said, we'll be creating an actions project, creating a Dialogflow agent, and we'll configure the default welcome intent, build a custom intent with entities, initialize a cloud function. We will add a fulfillment logic. So this is our backend logic. Add a webhook to your action and test the whole experience. So let's go ahead and do the same steps. So typically, as for most of the labs in Qwiklabs, the first thing to do is click on Start Lab, launch with your credits, or in your case, you should see the monthly subscription. And once you do that, go ahead and click on the Google Cloud Console. Choose another account, copy the username and password provided by Qwiklabs. Accept, confirm, and finally the same steps that we did. So you have to agree to the terms and conditions, and you would also see that this one has created a Google Cloud Platform, a GCP account with a project already. So you can always cross-check your project ID from Qwiklabs. So see this number ending with 5FE. This will be the same project ID over here. Cool. So with that, let's go ahead and start the steps. So the same steps over here as well. So go to the Actions console. So right click, open a new tab. Go ahead and click on New Project. So this is very similar to what we did on our first Qwiklab. So agree to the terms and conditions. And this would in turn, you're importing your GCP project that was already created. And finally, you would actually land in the same page where we actually, where we previously did in the previous lab. So the same thing that we kind of followed, right? Until we come to this point. So let's go ahead and complete all of these steps. So this is the landing page. As usual, go to the extreme top left corner, click on the Actions console. The list of projects will be listed over here. So right now we have only one project. So go and click on that project. And within that, go ahead and click build your action. Add an action. Add your first action. Same by default, custom intent, just click that. So this should take us to Dialogflow. Allow, and then finally sign in with the account. So you have actually seen this whole process, right? So we started with Qwiklabs. It would create a GCP project. From GCP project, once that the GCP project, once we're in GCP, we would go ahead and go to the Actions console. We create a new project, and finally we would come to Dialogflow. So this should not be the screen that you're seeing. It should automatically come to the thing. So let me log out of this and click on Add Action. Let's see. Yes. So this should how your screen should look like at this point, where your Dialogflow platform is already open, your console is already there, your project ID is pre-filled. So go ahead and click Create. So now this is actually creating an agent. So as you said, with this same project ID, you have created an agent. You can see every time the system does any kind of training or saving, you would actually find this gear icon rotating. So you can see that agent training completed. And by default, you would actually be having two different intents, which is a welcome intent, and the other one is a default fallback intent. So the welcome intent is when you click on it. So if you notice the previous lab that we did, when we say welcome to the talk to my test app, it just replied back saying like greetings with a response, right? The reason why how that was done is due to the welcome intent. So the first thing by default in Dialogflow is when you're interacting with your action, Dialogflow takes you to the welcome intent by default. So this is the first response. These are the responses that your users would typically get. And let's say if you're chatting this on a chatbot, this is all going to be some of the greetings that the user might say, hi, hello, and then these might be the responses. So let's go ahead and see how we're doing in terms of our progress. So we've created a Dialogflow agent so far from our Actions project. And finally, click Fulfillment from the left-hand menu and move the slider from webhook to the right, setting this to be enabled. Setting it to be enabled. So this is done by, and over here what they've done is just copy temporarily, and we'll come back to why you're doing this. So go to Fulfillment on the left-hand side navigation, click on Fulfillment, enable the webhook, and enter a temporary URL over here. So for now, we're just putting .com. Let's see. And after that, click on Intents, and then select default welcome intent. So that's where we were before. So let's go ahead and click on Intents and click on default welcome intent. So you will now build the main entry point into your application by configuring the default welcome intent. So the next step is configure the default welcome intent. When you create a Dialogflow agent, the welcome intent is automatically created. So as I said, this is the first thing that's kind of by default invocated based on your conversation. Your app must have a default welcome intent defined so that Actions on Google knows how to invoke your application. Now, make sure that you're in the default welcome intent. Here are some things to notice. The event section of the intent specifies a welcome intent, which signifies that this intent is the default entry point to your application. In the response section, there are default or static text. So let's go and see here. So you see this event section. So this is the default welcome, right? The default welcome intent. So this is our invocation or triggering point into our agent. And the responses show us the static responses. And I'm pretty sure after doing the first lab, everyone is pretty sure what's a training phrase and what are responses and how all of this comes together as an action to your Google Assistant. So now that you know the default welcome intent's purpose, you will modify some of the fields. Scroll down to the responses section and trash icon to scrap all of the default responses. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's remove all of the current responses and let's enter the one that's actually shown here. Says hi, welcome to your silly name maker. So this is gonna be your first response from your agent or action, right? So the moment you interact with your voice action, when you say talk to my test app, the first response would be it would come to your default intent, welcome intent, and the default welcome intent will then understand that, hi, this is the response that I need to give. So hi, welcome to silly name maker. Let's get started. What is your lucky number? So again, here, important thing to note, you're greeting the user, you're giving an information, at the same time, you're redirecting or you're directing the user to a specific action. So here it's clearly mentioned that what is your lucky number. So the next thing that comes to the user side is, okay, I need to give back or answer a number in return, rather than being an open-ended conversation, right? So go ahead and click save. And again, while you save this, you can see that intent is saved. You can immediately start seeing that agent training started. You see the gear icon move. And then once that is done, it will show agent training complete. Now the training is completed. So let's go ahead and check our progress so far, how we're doing. So it comes 40% through. So let's go ahead and complete the remaining. So design the conversations. So as much as possible, this is what I typically do. Any action that you build, you need to actually design your conversations. And this is to some extent a bit more different than how we are used to as developers. So typically we would design like directly start coding, or we actually follow a specific pattern, or even like flowcharts or diagrams. But here in this case, designing conversations is going to be a bit different. And the way how I do it is I either call my wife, I talk to a friend, and I say, I would take myself as one of the character. So I can be the assistant, and one of the other person on the opposite side can be the actual user. So when the user is actually interacting with me, I kind of take notes on what the kind of interactions are typically, because it's like having a conversation between two people, right? So when designing conversations, you need to make sure that your conversations are natural and your agent is able to kind of identify as well as handle the nuances of a human interaction, right? And after that, we basically go ahead and start writing sample dialogues. So this is an example of it, right? So you say expected path. Hi, welcome to Silly Name Maker. Let's get started. What is your lucky number? The user says 5. The app says, what's your favorite color? User says yellow. App says, all right, your silly name is yellow 5. I hope you like it. See you next time. So that's what our specific action or app in this case would do. So this is what the typical workflow or the flow would look like, or the conversation would look like. And on the other side, what's the unexpected path? So you say, hi, welcome to Silly Name Maker. Let's get started. What is your lucky number? See, your action is intended to handle numbers, but the user went crazy. He wants to play around with it. He says dog. And the app is like, that doesn't sound like a number to me. What's your lucky number again? The user says 22. App says, what is your favorite color? So you can see that until the user is actually providing an actual color, these are like prompts that the user gets back from your agent, right? So you are still kind of going through to kind of get those right information that you require for your specific action. So even though the first time the user said dog, you said, well, that doesn't sound like a number to me. What's your lucky number? Again, instead of telling an actual um, color, lucky number, um, the app says, what is your favorite color? It says blue. And then based on that, it says, all right, your silly name is blue 22. So, yeah. So here you can see it's actually, in fact, it's gathering two information, lucky number and favorite color, right? And based on that, it's just coming up with a silly name. Conversational design tips. This example shows only a couple of dialogues that you could write for your apps. See this design walkthrough for more examples of dialogues. And if you notice uh, in my presentation, I also touched upon the conversational design. So make sure you access that link and the documentation and the checklist to make sure your action is compliant as per the guidelines so that you don't have to worry about any rejections from Google while you're submitting your action. So the next step, configure a custom intent. So let's go ahead and do that. So from the left-hand menu, click on the intent, and let's go ahead and create a new intent. So you go to intents, create a new intent. So the intent name is called make_name. In the training phrases, click add training phrases and add one of the conversations. So let's go ahead and do this. Say training phrase, add one of the conversation. My lucky number is 23. Hit enter, and then you would find something, right? So in our previous code generator, you would have noticed that nothing popped up like this because it was just a regular give me a quote or give me some inspiration as the training phrase. But here, when I gave a training phrase like my lucky number is 23, Dialogflow understood that 23 is a default system number. This person is talking about the number. So let me actually generate a default entity for that. So Once you have that number, right? So here you can see the parameter name is number, entity is dot access dot number. So these are default entities. And if you would have provided a date, you'd have sys dot date and the result value. So what's the value right now? 23. So we'll come back to this. So that's our training phrase. We've added that as per the thing. Now we talked about entities, right? So if you expand the actions and parameters section, so this is actions, right? So click on this. You can actually see the exact value. So your parameter name is number based on the training phrases that you've added. Your entity is sys.number, so this is a default entity, and your dollar number will actually hold your value. So if you say my lucky number is 35, your dollar number value will be 35. Or in this case, if it is 23, your dollar number will be 20, right? So the next step to do is you'll now add more user expressions in training phrases and then assign any number within those phrases to system. So let's go and add these the different versions of what the user can say. So when the user says, when the agent or your action says, what's your lucky number? The user might just say 23 instead of actually saying my lucky number is 23. So we're actually training the Dialogflow to understand different conversation, different ways at which the user can respond back. So here's another one. The luckiest number I have is 12. And for each of these, you can see it's automatically tagging this as process number. Now that we have added some training traces, scroll down and expand the actions and parameters section. Check the required checkbox for the number. So this tells Dialogflow not to trigger the intent until the parameter is properly provided by the user. So if you remember this conversation over here, the unexpected part, when your action was asking for a lucky number, the user didn't provide the action the lucky number. He just said dog. So that means you've still not received the actual value that you need, right? In that case, you went ahead and asked, okay, that doesn't sound like a number to me. What's your lucky number again, right? So this is possible because over here, when you come, after you add your training phrases, you have this option called a required checkbox. So this will make sure that as much as possible, you have to provide this value. So the user would have to provide this value to continue with the conversation. So go ahead and click on the required checkbox. Now click on define prompts and type what's your lucky number. So check this box and define the prompts. Is what's your lucky number and close it. So if you're providing a conversation which is unrelated to numbers, it will automatically prompt you for what's your lucky number, right? So this phrase will be spoken to the user repeatedly until the Dialogflow detects a number in the user input, right? So in the action and parameter section, we did the following. We did the required. We selected the checkbox. Yes, done. Parameter name is color, sys.color, dollar color, what's your favorite color? So this is another thing, right? So we finish with numbers and we can actually go and add colors as well. Add a parameter followed with the following information. Select the checkbox parameter name is color. So let's do that. Entity is sys.color. You can even type this. You can see all the different system entities that Dialogflow handles, like date, color, colors here, language, currency, time period, email. So let's go ahead and choose color here. I believe this should be color. And what's the prompt? What's your favorite color? So click on define prompts. And hit save. So this additional parameter uses Dialogflow's built-in slot filling feature. So this is called the slot filling feature, which allows you to obtain additional input parameters from the user without having to create an intent for each one. So that's exactly what happened here, right? So if you actually look at the conversation, you started with, so we created an intent. The only training phrase that we are adding is all about the lucky number, right? But instead of actually going and creating multiple intents, if you want to have like a follow-up question or another prompt question based on your response, you can actually go ahead and have these checkboxes as required and define your prompts. So as much as possible, the system will always look for these values and then finally give the response. So if you don't provide a number, it will say, what's your lucky number? Once you provide your number, it will check for the color. If the color is not there, it will say, what's your favorite color? Right? So that's the actual flow. So now click save. Now scroll down and expand the fulfillment section and click enable fulfillment. So if you scroll down from here, come all the way down, click on the fulfillment, right? So expand this and click enable fulfillment. So the reason why we are doing this is if you look at our previous examples or the previous lab that we did, our response was over here. We added a response and typically that response was static, right? So we can actually build a lot of conversational labs with just static responses and just loop them through. But most of the time, or there'll be a lot of times where you would actually want to process this information in your backend, in your own framework, get the information, or probably to your backend database and check specific information and then return back the response. So this lab is actually showing you how to do that. So let's go ahead and click enable fulfillment, right? And once that is done, click on this, enable webhook, call for this intent. So what this would do is every time an intent matching happens, right? Every time there's a conversation like my lucky number is 23, Dialogflow would understand that, okay, this is supposed to be under make name intent. It will come here. It will then check whether the user has provided everything. Since this conversation is providing number, it might skip this step, what's your lucky number. It will then look for color. Since color is not there in just this one statement, it will say what's your favorite color. Once the user provides the color, it will then give the response back to your webhook. So it will extract all this information, it will get the intent name, and Dialogflow will pass that information back to your webhook. Right? So that's where we are at this point. So in the responses section, right above fulfillment, click add response and go to the Google Assistant. So go to responses, click add response, go to Google Assistant tab and set this intent as end of conversation. So you can do this. So set this intent as end of conversation. So what this basically means is, let's say you create a lot of intent, right? And based on a conversation, there will be a point where you've gathered all the information, you've given back a response, and then instead of actually opening the mic again for further questions, you'd actually end the conversation because you've basically done your task. As an agent or as your action or app, what it was intended to do, once you've done it, you can basically end that specific conversation. So the way how it is done is you can actually come and say, this enable this or toggle this option and set this intent as the end of conversation. So finally, go ahead and click save. So I hope that everyone would now understand what's an intent, what are training phases, what are entities. So here we're talking about system entities. We've created another entity over here with sys.color. We give the parameter name. $color will be the value, what it holds, and what's your favorite color is the prompt that it would ask. And finally, instead of just adding default responses, we enable fulfillment. So this would actually call a webhook or a backend and process the information. And finally, once the response is sent, end the conversation. So that's what it's doing. So go ahead and click on check my progress. So we are 70% done. And the next steps would be the backend part. So you can actually go ahead and, let's say if you're building your applications on PHP or any other framework, in the place where we actually provided like google.com under fulfillment section, like a temporary URL, you can actually provide your webhook URL where you process all of this information. But in this case, we'll show you how you can actually build this using cloud functions. So you will now build a cloud function to handle your fulfillment logic. So your fulfillment takes the extracted user input. So that's your color as well as number. So that extracted information will then be passed and response with the user's silly name. So return to the GCP console for this step. So let's go back to the GCP console. We will go to the navigation menu, click on Cloud Functions, and create a function. So go back to the Cloud console. Under the navigation bar, click on Cloud Functions. So it's under Compute, so click on Cloud Functions. And create a function. So if you want to understand what's a cloud function, it's a lightweight event-based asynchronous compute solution that allows you to create small single-purpose functions that respond to cloud events without the need to manage a server or a runtime environment. So it's more like serverless executions. Click on create function, and let's proceed with the steps. So for the name, enter it as silly name maker, and while we do that, back to the console, enter the name as silly name maker as shown on the labs, and scroll down and find the inline editor. So you can see other memory allocated, trigger. So let's go. By default, it's selected as inline editor. We have two tabs. One is the index.js tab and the package.json tab. So within that, here are some specifics on its basic functioning. So when Dialogflow intents are triggered, the intents action name is provided to you in the request of your fulfillment. You will use this action name to determine what logic to carry out within every request to your fulfillment. So every time when you're having a conversation and it hits that match intent or make name intent, it would then automatically trigger this cloud function, right? So it will gather all this information and call this cloud function. And this is where you actually process the information and send a response back. Right? So this function fulfills the action by generating a silly name. It's called whenever the make name intent is triggered, it uses the parameters from the user input to generate the name. So let's go ahead and copy this entire code. And go to Cloud Functions. So here you're just initializing Dialogflow and functions with the required commands. And then finally with Dialogflow, all you're doing is app.intent and specifying what is the intent name. So the intent name that I'm talking about is the intent name over here. So it's make name. And once make name is there, we have conversation, color, and number. So based on immediately the moment this intent is triggered, your conversation will will hold the entire conversation. Your color and number are the values that's coming from here. Dollar number and dollar color, right? So based on these parameters, what you're just doing is sending a response back. So conversation.close, right? So once it will basically talk, give back a response with the statement and then close the conversation. So conversation.close, all right, your silly name is dollar color, okay, and dollar number. I hope you like it. See you next time. And this is then called as a cloud function. The other thing to note is you might also need to call the dependencies. So open the package.json tab and add all the dependencies. So go back to the cloud function, click on this, and paste all of the dependencies. So here your dependencies are actions on Google, Firebase admin, and Firebase functions. Once you have all of these files configured, scroll down to function to execute, enter silly name maker as for the value. Copy that. Function to execute, silly name maker. So if you come back here, what you have done, we've basically done, we are basically extracting the information from make name intent and then sending a response back and ending the conversation, right? And in package.json, we are basically going ahead and defining the dependencies required. Let's go ahead and click create. So now this is actually creating a cloud function in your Google Cloud Platform project under your project. And once that is done, what you would then do is click on your cloud function and click on trigger tab. You will see a function URL that resembles the following. You will take this function URL and then take it back to our webhook. So let's see once this is complete. So from an application standpoint, while this is actually being executed, it's very important that you use a webhook or take all of this information back to your backend to give your users meaningful experiences, right? So you can do a lot of things once you have all of these information back into your own backend. And since our cloud function is ready right now, click on this. Click on your cloud function and click trigger. And this is a tab. So copy the link. And let's go ahead and check the progress. So we've technically completed the lab at this point, right? Well, let's go ahead and change our response. So go back to Dialogflow, go to fulfillments. we pasted a temporary URL, right? That's not going to process any information, but a cloud function can, because we've designed it in that way to extract this information. So copy the link over here, go ahead and click save. Now test your assistant application with the action simulator. You can actually go ahead and try directly to go and go to the simulator and test, but you will actually find like an error message is because you have not enabled the permissions. So go to the activity controls page for this account. So make sure it's your Qwiklabs account and enable. So enable the settings, and all of this is again from a lab perspective. You're following these steps, but you can always go ahead and do the same steps on your own account to have it directly linked to your own Google account, and then where you can further test it in a simulator or on your phone. So now that we've enabled the permissions, let's go back to the Actions console, click on Test. And let's see what happens to our test application.
Of my test app. Hi, welcome to Silly Name Maker. Let's get started. What is your lucky number?
So as you can see, we got a default welcome intents response first. If you remember, this is the first thing we did. We went and deleted all the default responses, and we said this was the only thing as a response in the default welcome intent. So that's the first intent that gets triggered. Now that the intent is triggered, it's telling me what is your lucky number. You can actually go ahead and give something. So let's say lucky number is 15.
Where?
So now that we have basically received the number, it knows that, okay, it will go to match intent, right? So the intent over here was basically make name was the intent. And it will say, okay, I've received the number. So what next? Oh, there's another required parameter, which is color. So let me ask, what's your favorite color? So that's the prompt that we have added here. So I say black.
Alright, your silly name is Black15. I hope you like it. See you next time.
So if you actually notice here, the moment we gave the color, it would go back to our cloud functions where we actually get the value of 15 and black, and the response was actually given in our cloud function here, right? So if you click on edit or source, you would actually find the code that we process. So you have your color and numbers provided, and then based on those values, it says, okay, this is your color is black, 15, right? So that's what basically is happening behind the scenes. And finally, with that, you can actually try out different combinations. We have completed this specific lab. You can go ahead and end the lab. So now that we've completed 2 labs here, if you now go back to your quest, you should have seen a green check for the first lab that you did. You would also see a green check for the second lab that you did, right? So next steps is what I would say for people. I'll just give some more time for people to actually go ahead and complete their labs if they're following along. And we'll come back after a short 2-minute break. So I hope people have actually completed the 2 labs by now. And then once you've completed, again, a few things just before we start our next lab. Make sure once you completed the entire lab, you would have earned your badge, your digital badge or quest. Go to My Learning section. Make sure you make your public profile. Click on it, and you would see your digital badge over here. And as part of the whole as part of the whole Qwiklabs section, 2 things is once you've done your Qwiklabs, make sure you submit your feedback over here for the study jam, and also from a Coursera standpoint, once you have finished 3 quests. So we're just talking about 1 quest here. Now that you have access to Qwiklabs, go ahead and complete 3 quests, and you will get free courses on Coursera. And this month, right? So this is another exciting news for all the people out there who's interested in building for the Google Assistant. Make sure that you join as soon as possible to MENA 30 Days on Assistant. Right? Go to the specific link. The first 100 Android app or the Assistant actions published wins Google Home Mini. So this is an exciting offer for each and everyone who's tuned into this session. So the first 100 users who build an assistant action gets a Google Home Mini, right? And the first 200 winners is if you solve 5 quests in February. So with this Qwiklabs 1-month access, just like how I've shown you over here under my public profile, click on my learning. So if you complete more than 5 quests, right? So like this, you would actually have access to a special gift box. So by doing this, I'm pretty sure you complete these 3 labs, 5 quests, 3 quests, 5 quests in Feb for the assistant, 30 days on assistant. You would also have, once you publish at least 1 application, and if you're the first 100 to do so, you'll also get a Google Home Mini. So don't miss out on this opportunity. So just wanted to convey that information. So for the next thing, we can actually do 2 things. We can actually go ahead and go to the labs, go back to our quest. So the other way of doing is searching over here, or you can also go back to My Learning and see what you're working on. So this is OK Google, build interactive apps for the Google Assistant. And I'm really sorry for people who are actually using these, watching this entire session on speakers. If you have a Google Assistant nearby, I might pretty much be triggering that. So the next lab actually takes 1 hour and 15 minutes, and the last one takes around 1 hour. So let's go ahead and do something different. I'm pretty sure that by now everyone understands how you can actually go ahead and build for how to use Qwiklabs and complete the labs. It's pretty much self-explanatory, but I will take this opportunity over here this time to make sure that I can actually show you some of the other things that's exciting that's available from both Dialogflow standpoint as well as from actions on Google and Google Assistant standpoint. Right. So the next project that we're gonna do is outside of Qwiklabs. This is again to show you some of the capabilities and some of the things that you guys as developers or tech enthusiasts can quickly do. I mean, think about how you can accelerate your startups quickly. So what I do is I go to dialogflow.com, and again, I'm using my personal account in this case. So I'm gonna go to console, gonna sign in with Google. So in this case, I'm choosing my personal account. Right. So I would like to show you one of the most interesting new features that's still in beta, by the way, but I would like to show you some of this pretty cool functionality. Now that we've understood how to make intent entities, and you can see for simple conversations, it's pretty much easy, right? But what if we already have an FAQ section, right? So let's say if I go to any website with an FAQ, let's say Google Cloud Platform FAQ. Okay. So these are FAQ sections, like frequently asked questions, right? What's the pricing and support? Where can I find pricing information? What are my support options? Does cloud storage offer a service level agreement? So imagine if we have to go ahead and create a chatbot right now, where we'll have to go ahead and understand each of these complexities, understand what each of these intent means, and have the same, static responses or dynamic responses depending on what the user is actually asking. So it might be a little bit time consuming, even though it's as easy as just having these conversations, but to some extent it's time consuming, right? So this is where the new feature in Dialogflow comes in very handy. And I want you guys to actually look up schema markups. So if you're a content creator out there, you can actually create actions based on different schemas, right? So this is not the one that I was talking to, but I'll show you how it works. So the first step to do is, let's go and create a new agent. So this is one of the demos. Let's go ahead and create a new agent. And I call this agent as Cloud Study Chain. Cloud Study Chain FAQ. Okay. Go ahead and click on Create. Again, you would be wondering why I'm not going to Google Cloud Platform to create an account there first. You can technically do so. In this case, what happens is if you come here, you can actually see that if you don't have an existing project, you can actually link it to your existing projects over here, or it would just go ahead and create a new Google project for you. So I'm going to do that. And the reason why I'm showing you this is these are different ways where how you can actually start building your conversations. You don't typically need to go to GCP and then follow. We are doing it in that fashion is because your Qwiklabs is creating a temporary account for you, and it is very important that you understand the different steps and components involved in this. Everything is linked to a GCP project. So now that we've created an agent, so we have an agent, we have the default welcome and fallback, right? So let's go ahead and just add something. So I'm going to go ahead and delete everything. I say hi. I say welcome to GCP FAQs. You can ask me anything about Google Cloud Platform and services. Go ahead and see this. So what happens is anytime I'm interacting with the Google Assistant, the welcome intent gets triggered first, and this will be my first response. So I can even just well, try my best. So now that our intent is saved, you can see the training started and the training completed. So one of the other things within Dialogflow is you can actually go ahead and click on the right. Here, you actually have like a simulator here. I say hi. Few important things to notice, right? Immediately it understood, it gave us a response because hi is a default intent, so that's our greeting message that the user says. Immediately our agent hands it over to our default response, our default welcome intent, where our response is this. And you can also see what the intent matching is. So if you have multiple intents that's created, and based on your conversations, you can actually see that it will change your intent over here. Now that we had a basic welcome intent, if somebody asks me, okay, here's the page, I have all of this information available. And again, it also depends on how your information is designed. So if you have a website with an FAQ already based on schema markups, what you can do is, let me just go ahead and copy this, okay? And over here, the new feature is called knowledge. So we saw what are entities. We also saw what are we saw what are intents. We saw entities, and then we also even looked at fulfillments. So before I actually go into knowledge, let me actually give you a glimpse of what integrations look like. So typically, once you're done, the main or the core integration is the Google Assistant. Of course, we just tested it multiple times in our 2 lab sessions that we did. Along with that, you can actually see all the different options that we have. So one of the options, let's say web. So you build a chatbot and you want to kind of integrate this directly into your website. All you have to do is copy this iframe, paste it anywhere in your website, and you have your chatbot, right? Directly integrated onto your website. Or if you want to actually try it out on a test link, just open this, and you have your own chatbot over here. So let's say hi, and then immediately you'll have your chatbot respond back to you with the default welcome intent response that we just fed. And again, you can go ahead and add multiple responses so that your users don't get bored seeing the same messages over and over again. So you can have a different random welcome response. Now that being said, pretty sure we just saw how to build a chatbot using Dialogflow integrated onto your website. The same thing applies for your Facebook Messenger, Twitter, Twilio, Skype, Telegram. You have Qwiklabs, Cisco, even Alexa. So you can actually go ahead and do all of these. It will give you instructions on what to do. For example, for the Facebook Messenger, you might actually need to create a Facebook developer account, configure the API keys, and then you should be good to go. Now coming back to a new feature, which is knowledge. So the knowledge connector is a beta feature. So in order to use this, enable the beta features and APIs in the agent settings page first. So let's go ahead and click on the settings icon, come down and just enable the beta features. So for people who are actually thinking of using this, keep in mind that it's still in beta. Go ahead and click done. And once that is saved, go back to knowledge, and you can see what a knowledge connector is. So a knowledge connector provides your Dialogflow agent with the capacity to answer queries based on predefined sources of knowledge, such as websites, FAQs, or knowledge-based articles. So you can actually read more here. So the first thing to do is, let's go ahead and add or create a knowledge base. Okay, I'm going to call this Google Cloud FAQ. So I've just created a knowledge base, and within that knowledge base, I need to feed in what the knowledge should be. So I go ahead and create the first one. What is the document name? Google Cloud FAQ. Knowledge type. So you can see FAQ is there, extractive questioning answering is there. Just gonna click on FAQ. Mine type, gonna choose HTML. So you have different sources over here. In this case, I'm just gonna go and do a simple URL. And the beauty of this, and hopefully if this works, you'll understand why this feature is so exciting. Paste FAQ section and click create. Now this would actually take some time for it to process this whole information, extract all the information that's available here. And what it then in return does is takes all of this, it would create all of the necessary information so that whenever you have a conversation with your chatbot, it will scan through these FAQ documents that's there in this link, passes the information back to your user. So now that you can see that our knowledge document is already created, right? Now, the next thing to do is go ahead and click on add response, right? We've created what the source of the document. It is provided the URL over here. Click on add response. So by default, you can see that it would automatically build knowledge.answer. So this is as good as what you would actually need until and unless you need further customizations. So let's go ahead and save the knowledge base. So now, if I actually go ahead and ask a similar question, so let's say, when do I need to activate cloud storage and enable billing, right? Let's see if this comes here. Let's say hello. Let's say as you can see, right, with just few clicks of a button, hardly 5 minutes, right, you have a fully functioning chatbot. And the same thing can then be integrated into your Google Assistant. So you have a fully functioning voice assistant action or agent, which is actually providing the users with key information about Google Cloud Platform. So how cool is that, right? So we didn't have to go about creating a lot of these intents, a lot of these pre-filled responses. All we had to do was copy this URL, create a knowledge base connector, feed the source URL, and then hit response and then save. Right? So let's go ahead. Now that we have completed our knowledge base, we saw how it's automatically reflecting in our chatbot. I would like to go ahead and click on integrations, click on Google Assistant, and click on test. So you can also see by default, based on the explicit invocation, the first thing it goes is the default welcome intent. Right? So hit on test, and this would actually update the actions console, and you can actually go to actions on Google, console.actions on Google to actually make sure and test this specific application. We can actually do that right now as well. So it has automatically taken us to our console.actions.google.com. It has gone to our test project. You can see this is our project ID, which is the Cloud Study Jam FAQ. And finally, by default, we come to our simulator, right? Take note that the reason why this would work for me and not for some of you guys who are doing this for the first time is you need to make sure your permissions are enabled, just like how we did in the labs. So go ahead and click on Talk to My Test app.
Test app. Hi, welcome to Google Cloud Platform FAQs. You can ask me anything about the Google Cloud Platform and its services, and I will try my best to answer it.
So let's see. Let me actually ask something. So let's go ahead to the simulator. Use the microphone over here as an option. Allow. Where is my data stored? Since I'm using this microphone, let's see where is my data stored.
Where cloud storage stores your data depends on the location of the bucket in which your data resides. For information on available locations and implications for choosing a location, see the bucket locations page.
So as simple as that, we've created a fully functioning chatbot which can actually answer all the information in regards to Google Cloud. So let's go ahead and cancel this. Also want to show how the conversation would look like on a phone. It's very similar.
Here's the test version of my test app. Hi, welcome to Google Cloud Platform FAQs. You can ask me anything about the Google Cloud Platform and its services, and I will try my best to answer it.
So you can see this is how it would look on your phone. I would say, let me ask something which I'm not even trying. So what is? Okay.
Say that one more time.
So that's not there. So cloud storage.
Cloud storage always provides strongly consistent object listings from a single bucket, even for buckets with data replicated across multiple regions. This means a zero RTO in most circumstances for geo-redundant storage location.
We have all of this information automatically available right now, right? So for things that doesn't handle, it's because your FAQ doesn't have that. You can always go and update your FAQ page, and then it would automatically come here. So to kind of wrap up this whole session, and thanks for everyone who joined the call, and for people who are actually viewing this after this specific this live streaming as well. It's very important that we kind of tackle creating voice actions or voice applications in a much more rather different mechanism than what we're used to traditionally. As developers, we would quickly kind of design like UI, UX, and then start developing applications based on that. But when it comes to conversation designs, it's a bit different, right? It's important that you understand who your user is, what the intention of your action or voice action is. And finally, based on all of this, unlike a traditional mobile application, you're limited to a screen. You're limited to interactions like buttons and navigation menus. So the user is limited in what he or she can do. But from a conversation standpoint, the user can basically ask the agent anything because you don't have any constraints from that. So it's very important that you, as I said before, follow the conversational design guidelines and build your conversations in a meaningful and direct manner where at the end of each conversation, you get the information from the user and then finally lead the user back to a specific course of action. And we started with chatbots. We understood what is the importance of a chatbot. We talked about voice assistants. What is Google Assistant? And what are the building blocks for Google Assistant? So the two major building blocks is the Actions on Google platform and the Dialogflow. Actions on Google platform is the platform where you build for the Google Assistant, and Dialogflow is the platform where you design your conversational experiences. Then we moved on to understand the different features within Dialogflow where you have intents and entities and integrations. What is a fulfillment? What is right now we also checked about knowledge base, knowledge connectors. So I hope that you guys got a clear idea about all the functionalities and options that you have. But the beauty of another option or the feature that Dialogflow offers is, along with the Google Assistant and along with all of these interactions, if you want all of this directly from as a call agent, click on this, configure. So as of right now, this feature is only available in the United States, and this is still a beta feature. So just click on Add. So what this is typically doing is, whatever the agent that you have just created, that agent will be available to you on this specific phone call or phone number. Right? So let me just copy that and click Create. So any phone call to the number below will be answered by this Dialogflow agent, starting with a welcome. Right? So done. This is our test draft environment, and finally we can. So if you actually call that number, you would actually find that information. So let me call from my phone. It might take a bit of time.
Hi, welcome to Google Cloud Platform FAQs. You can ask me anything about the Google Cloud Platform and its services, and I will try my best to answer it.
What is the cloud? What is cloud storage?
Yes, cloud storage allows customers to use a global DNS name for uploads and downloads. Google uses its private network to transfer data to from the closest POP that the data is being uploaded from or downloaded to.
As you can see, right now we have a fully functioning call agent who is actually answering all of our questions without the need of any human behind the scene. So you didn't have to go about creating a lot of intents. All you had to do is follow the schema, make sure your website has like an FAQ which follows the schema, and then based on that, feed that into the knowledge base, and then you have. And it's not just for knowledge base as such. Any chatbot or any agent or any voice assistant that you're creating in Dialogflow, you would make sure that you have this option as well. So this is also a feature which is in beta, but I'm really excited for this to be available soon. And finally, a reminder for everyone, make sure to join the challenge. It's an amazing opportunity for you guys to earn a Google Home Mini and also solve 5 quests in February to win a special gift box. So with that, I would actually like to thank each and every one of you who joined the live session, as well as for people who joined later. And any other questions, you can always reach out to me in Twitter. My Twitter tag is Sachin_ATK. For people who are interested in building, or if you need further help in terms of actual tutorials, you can actually go ahead and check out my Medium blog, which is medium.com at Sachin_ATK. If this is difficult for you guys, you can just go back to my website, techwithsuch.com, and on the top, you have access to all of my social media accounts. Click on this, it takes you to the Medium account. So if you want to build interactive, immersive games for the Google Assistant, I would actually recommend you to look at this one. And let's say if you're looking to build your own smart speaker from scratch, like with your own hardware and stuff like that, I will definitely recommend you to look into these tutorials. And if you actually look into these tutorials, these are completely available to you with all the codes and screenshots. So you just have to follow the tutorials and then go to the next section. Again, it's just not on Google Assistant. I have other resources as well. But for people who are actually looking to build like enterprise level applications, you can actually look at this specific blog on how to create a chatbot using Dialogflow Enterprise Edition and Dialogflow API. So this would be the first one. And this is a continuation of that, where we integrate all of these functionalities back into the Google Assistant. So here is where we went through that example where you have like a customer care kind of scenario. You have both your action is actually gathering information like name, phone number, and what's the issue that you're facing, and then it will automatically store that information in a backend, like a data store table, generate a unique ticket number, and provide that back to the user. So if you want to kind of see the whole end-to-end functionality in that perspective, this is definitely a tutorial. These 2 tutorials will definitely help you. We talked about machine learning APIs, so you can check out entity analysis and sentiment analysis separately. But for people who see that the second lab, which is in maintenance, if you actually would like to see how I can build a Google Assistant voice action completely using just a template or a Google Sheet, I would recommend you to actually check out this one. So if you look at this tutorial, you actually have all of the step-by-step instructions. So you choose the template, one of the templates. It can be a trivia game, a personality quiz, or a flashcard. Choose a persona for your character, and then based on that, you can just open a Google Sheet. So you can see that the Google Sheet comes pre-filled with information. And based on that information, you just have to go ahead and edit these values and put your own questions and answers and hints and even follow-ups, right? And finally, once the entire sheet is filled with your own version, configure, and finally save it. So if you have this error, you can see how basically handled it. So save the application, and once that is saved, go and say talk to my test app, and you should have a trivia game running directly. So that's as easy as it is to build a voice action. So it's just filling out a Google sheet, and you even have like options to add music and other things into your Google sheet as well. So I will check for any other questions or follow-ups. And the other thing that we can also show is, now that we have a few more minutes left, as I said in the beginning, since we were doing Qwiklabs, it has a temporary account. So we couldn't really test it on your phone. So if you have an Android phone or even an iPhone, for iPhone or Apple users, go and download the Google Assistant. And for Android users who already have the Google Assistant built in, go and create an account using your personal Google account. And once that is done, what I would say is go ahead and complete a Dialogflow integrate with Google Assistant. Test it out on the simulator. Once all of this is done, all it takes is you launch your assistant, choose the same personal account or the Gmail account that you actually use to build this whole project. And when you say, so this, I'm actually using my phone at this point. So if I say, talk to my test app.
Getting the test version of my test app. Hi, welcome to Google Cloud Platform FAQs. You can ask me anything about the Google Cloud Platform and its services, and I will try my best to answer it.
So you can see that we have the same experience directly from your Google Assistant in your phone. And the same thing can be replicated. If you have a Google Home device already, you will actually have the same experience on your speaker as well. And finally, for people who actually think, okay, why do we actually need to say talk to my test app all the time? That's not necessary. It's actually the default way. But once you're done building your entire application, you can actually go to develop. So here, this is where you provide your invocation name. So you can give Dr. Music or Dr. It can be any name that you want, right? So give a unique name, make sure you pronunciate it properly, check if that's based on the actions. So all of this would go into the actions directory. You can even choose the voice for your assistant, so it can be male or female, and based on once that is done, next time you don't have to say talk to my test app. You can just say talk to music or talk to any other action name that you provided here. So if you're building for smart displays and other things, you can also go ahead and this is basically what your actions directory would look like. So if you come here, for people who are wondering how can I actually find my action, right? So this is the actions directory. Now here you can see assistant.google.com/explore. Have all the information here. So you can actually go and search something. So you can see talk to Uber driver support. You have different actions available here. In this case, as I said, since I also get the Google developer from Stoha, we have Dr. GDG Doha, right? Or I can even say ask GDG Doha about upcoming events. So just like that, you have a lot of options that's available, and this is your exploration, explore directory or the assistant directory. You can send this directly to your device or share this link to your current or existing users, or as long as they know what's your invocation name. If it's a person who has a Google Assistant built in, this is by default. They can trigger on any device from anywhere in the world without actually installing any application. All they need is a Google Assistant. And that is the beauty, and that is why we have so much reach, and one of the main reasons why you as developers can build for the Google Assistant. So if you have an existing mobile application, you can actually extend the assistant based on that functionality. So with that, I would like to end today's talk. As I said, thanks for everyone. Thanks to all who have joined this live session, and looking forward to seeing you all build wonderful voice-first applications. And do tag me in Twitter once you have built your actions, so that we can see what you guys have built. For all who have joined from the MENA region, have a good night, and for the rest of the world,